everyone, how are you going? Today we're going to talk about reading your texts and how important it is to read them multiple times, not just once. It's important to know why we reread our texts, when we should read our texts, and how to annotate them. It's very important to reread because when we're reading, we're using a number of cognitive processes at the same time. We're not just deciphering letters and turning those letters into words and turning those words into sentences and those sentences into meaning. We're actually trying to get our head around what is actually happening the first time we read. And then the second time and third time, we're able to go deeper into our own personal thinking. So the first time we read, we're spending time doing our predicting. What's going to happen next? Is this person going to survive? Will she go through with killing her kids? Those sorts of things. We're also spending our time visualizing, picturing that landscape and picturing those characters. We're trying to figure out the plot, the characters, who's connected to who, and we're having those emotional reactions. If you're anything like me, the first time you read The Longest Memory, you bawled your eyes out about what happened with Paul Chappell. Spoiler alert, he dies. The thing that you need to think about is that first reading, yes, you may understand the text, but you haven't actually gone very deep. It's really quite a superficial reading. And the books that we're reading are quite complex books. The first time you read it, you're only touching the surface. So you must read it again a second time. And during that second reading, that's when you're going to start annotating. You're going to get your highlighter out and make all those notes, looking at how the author goes about making us feel those ways about certain events and characters, and you're going to be looking for those quotes because you'll have a general sense of what the themes and ideas are by the second reading. The third reading is the best reading. It's the most crucial. That third reading, you've read it, you know the story, you've picked it apart in terms of author craft. Now's when you start asking why. Why does this character do this? Why don't we like the mother in the boat? Why did Jason do what he did? Was it really such a bad thing? Was he such a bad character? Etc, etc. It's that third reading and fourth reading and fifth reading that we start to ask those deeper questions. When you read is actually important. So you want to have a little bit of a gap in between your reading. The more you read the text, the better. This timeline is just a minimum. So if you want to read the text 20 times, go for it. That's a perfect amount if you want to read it 20. But this is like a basic guideline. The first reading should take place in the summer holidays before the year starts. Get your head around the basic plotline, characters, etc. right before the start of the year, when you've got that time just to relax and soak it in. The second reading The second reading should take place 1 to 2 weeks before the unit of study starts. That's when you want to start annotating. You want to go to class with notes already in your book of things that you've thought about and things that you've noticed. The third reading should take place while you're studying. So remember that deep thinking level, that why level of reading. This should happen in class or while you're studying the text in class before the SAC happens. And then you want to read it a fourth time before the exam just to refresh as well. So how do you actually annotate your reading? There are so many good guides on there about how to annotate. I love Lisa's study guides. If you haven't seen her on YouTube, then where have you been? She's so fantastic and adorable. So I recommend you go to this clip here, how to effectively annotate your books for school. She goes through what she did. She actually shows you in her book what it looks like. She explains things like highlighting themes, circling important keywords, writing notes in the margin, question marks, looking for literary devices, and dog-earing important passages. I prefer you post-it note rather than dog-ear, but that's up to you. So whatever you do, make sure you reread your texts and that you actually read them well in advance of your study. Have fun!